All right, what's good? Yeah, welcome back to my 100K challenge. This is day 3. So I took an L today too, unfortunately. So it's 2 setups I want to show y'all. The one that I took and took an L, and then the other one was it played out, but I didn't take it, and I'll let y'all know why. So I'm gonna start with this one. This was a later setup. This one happened around 8:30. Um, if I jump to the 15-minute time frame, let me delete this, and I might as well delete that too. So let me just draw a structure real quick. So this was mostly consolidating, and then it had this little small pullback, and then a huge push down. And once I seen that, I marked up this 15-minute supply zone, dropped down to the 5-minute, and modified it. And so price pushed up with this huge candle and then pushed back down. And my entry was around here after the break of the candle. And then you can see that it went for a 1 to 8, bruh. Literally 0.2% away from my TP. And then it completely reversed. One thing about this setup, it was an A plus setup. It checked all the boxes. It was the 15-minute, which has more, I guess, priority over the 5-minute time frame. So it was a good setup. But the one thing about this, I did trade after, what was this? After 8:30, 8:35. I don't usually place trades around that time. I usually place trades around anywhere between right here is 6 o'clock, and usually around like 7:30 ish is usually when I be in trades. And if you can see the candles formed over here versus the candles formed after 8:30 and on forward, they're getting very huge. So when I place trades, I don't usually have wide um, what you call it, wide gaps like this. Like this is a 15 point stop loss because this candle, is 15 points obviously. And so I'm used to, like, if I pull my ruler out, I just put this candle, this is only 6 points. Like, that's what I'm used to. So I'm not saying this is the reason the trade didn't work out, but that's just something to note when I journal, is that um, the time that I take the trades, to see that am I more profitable within the 6 a.m. to like 7:30, or around 8:30 and forward. So I'm in Central Standard Time, so my 8:30 is 9:30 for like the people on the East Coast. I know a lot of them, wait for the 9:30 candle or whatever, so they can trade the future indices. But me, I usually start at 6 a.m., which is their time around 7 a.m. So I don't usually wait for all this volume to kick in. I usually place trades before then. That's just what has been working for me. But I can still journal to see how things change, because I'm constantly changing my uh, plan depending on like the results that I'm getting. So this trade didn't work out. It still was a good setup. It went for a 1 to 8. It just didn't hit my TP. But obviously, if you scroll over, it did hit TP. After stopping me out with this huge candle here. What time is this? It's 10:20. I don't trade after 10 a.m., but I was holding this trade, and at 10 a.m. it did stop me out. I was at work when it did stop me out. So usually 10 a.m. I would close the trade. If I was like, what 10 a.m. 10 a.m. right here, I would have been, break even. I could have closed the trade at 10 a.m. I did set an alarm for 10 a.m., but I didn't come back till around 10:20, I think, or around 10:15. I can't remember. And so I wasn't able to close it, like I said, because I was at work. But all in all, this was still a good setup for me. This was just one of the ones I can count as a good setup. It just didn't work out this specific time. So I don't really have any complaints about this loss. But like I said, it was after 8:30, and I don't usually take trades around that time. So there's just something to note. It's not necessarily like good or bad or whatever. So that was that trade setup. So the trade setup that I missed, that I could have avoided all of this and just could have had a dub, it was my fault. Um, but it was a little fear within this setup, so that's why I didn't enter it. So I'm not too mad about it. So if I go to the 1 hour time frame and I mark out, where we at right here? Mark out my 1 hour highs and lows. I had this low marked right here. If I zoom in, so basically, since it's a bearish candle, then a bullish candle, I mark as a low. A bullish candle and then a bearish candle, I mark as a high, like right here. And then basically, whichever the highest point or the lowest point, that's why I put the candle. So I don't put it on the bearish candle because this bullish candle wicked lower than this bearish candle. So I put the my mid level right here. I mean, not my mid level. This what's it called? Horizontal ray. I put it right there. So jump back to the 15-minute. You can see again. I take this off at starting at 6 a.m., which was right here. That's the 6 a.m. candle. And if I look at structure before 6 a.m. happened, I had this big push up here, lower high, and then it really was consolidating or whatever. But before all of that consolidation, or before half of that consolidation, I marked out that structure, and then I dropped down to the 5-minute time frame, and then I marked out this supply zone on the 5-minute. So I was basically going to wait for a retest of that zone. So it retested here before 6 a.m. But like I said, I don't trade before 6 a.m. So I was watching it around 640, 650. And then I waited for it to break this zone. So once it broke the zone, I was thinking about buys. But I wasn't too confident that it was really going to buy because we had this huge gap right here. And so I didn't really think it was going to buy up, even though my strategy did play out. Well, it didn't play out like to my TP, but the setup played out. So it broke the zone. It didn't break through the zone. It just wicked it, which shows, signs of rejection. And then if I was to end off the break of the candle, you can see that I obviously wouldn't have hit TP at all. I barely went into profit, and then it would have stopped me out. So I wasn't going to enter that trade. And then also, because of all of this consolidation, I also didn't know if the sales was going to work out. I didn't know which direction it was going to go. And then also it had news coming out at 7:30, which was 7:30 was this counter right here. I just put a line right here. That was 7:30, and so I didn't want to place a trade before 7:30 because I was thinking it's just going to consolidate and potentially stop me out before 7:30. So I was right on one part. It did consolidate, but also within that consolidation, it retested this 15-minute zone, and it gave me a break of the counter right here. And then 1 to 2 risk to reward would have been about right here. So that was a 1 to 2 right here. So everything that I predicted was correct, except I didn't think that it was just going to give me my entry and shoot down. I thought it would have spiked up because it still had these highs. It could have ran before dropping down if that's what it wanted to do. But you can see over here, it broke above some of those highs over here, and then dropped all the way down. I basically thought this play was going to happen over here, so I didn't enter that setup because of that, because the news was coming out. Because I have been stopped out in the past, and then it just went in my direction. But it was strictly because of news that stopped me out. The news counter specifically stopped me out, and then it ended up going in my direction. So that was why I didn't enter this trade. And also, I do take my TP if it's a 1 to 2 before my higher time frame zone. But because it broke through right here, and it had a little play off of the break right here, I would delete it. But if it hadn't been broken through before this entry, then this whole trade wouldn't have been valid anyway, even though it played out. But since it broke through with this candle and then it pushed up, failed to hit my 1 to 2, but it did push up. So it was a false break and a push up. And then so once it came back down, I would delete this zone, and then my next zone isn't until all the way down here, this blue line. So it's it did reach the zone over here. This was all the way at 12:30 though, but if it would have reached it around here, this was the other trade setup, basically called a supply demand zone off of the initial entry that I was looking at, but it didn't hit my zone and play out. So either way it go, both trades was an A plus setup. Like, this was an A plus setup, even though I wasn't confident in taking it. It was just because of the consolidation that was throwing me off, and most importantly, the news coming out at 7:30 was throwing me off. Not because of just the news, but it was because of the past experiences that I had with the news. And it was a red folder news on Forex Factory, and so I just had doubts about entering the trade, knowing what happened in the past, that I would get stopped out and whatever. But I also have to take in the fact that that was when I was trading my 5-minute setups. So this trade played off a 15-minute zone, which has, it's stronger than the 5-minute zone potentially. And my other trades, I would have taken it off a 5-minute zone instead of a 15-minute zone. So I don't know if that was a factor or not. I'm not sure. But all in all, it still was a good setup. And also this trade over here that I enter here, stop loss there, whatever. This was a good setup too. And I actually like this setup more than this one because the price action is clear. Price aggressively moved in my direction, but then it still ended up stopping me out. So I like both setups, A plus, and but yeah, had negative results still at the end of the day. But as long as I keep following my plan, following my strategy, I'll be good. So I lost 400 and some change on this trade, and so hopefully tomorrow we can get a dub. Tomorrow, the last day trading of this week since the market's closed Friday. So if I catch a trade Thursday, tomorrow, I'll see y'all. If not, I'll see y'all on Monday. So thank y'all for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment if you have any questions.